Hello everybody, Jake, your resident content cowboy here, Yeehaw, and I'm going to give you the best leaders for Warcraft Rumble, specifically for newer players, because things do change when you get deeper into the game, and really every leader can be pretty viable, but there are a lot of ones early on that I would recommend staying away from, especially with so many leaders now, and the Cenarian family coming up very, very soon. Big shout out to Blizzard for sponsoring this video. Thank you very much, Blizzard. Let's do it. Alright, let's start from the top. Tyrion Forging. Tyrion is, I think, incredibly good for newer players. Really basic, a tanky unit that is able to heal allies in a pretty profound way. It also has a talent that I think is just kind of busted for PvE early, and that is Divine Shield. You get a magical shield at 30% health, absorbing all damage for 5 seconds. You just become unKOable, and you're able to continue taking down towers, healing allies. It makes pushes kind of insane in some situations. Consecrate, I think, is not good, and By the Light is also okay, but Divine Shield is the talent I would pick up for sure. A great starter hero, just a simple, decent cost, easy tank unit. Jana is a little different. Jana Proudmore, maybe should be a little less proud, Jana. I think Jana's not too bad. Now, Jana's leader ability here is that your increases the level of your spells by 3. This can be kind of awesome in some PvE situations, but for the most part, I just think this is outclassed by a lot of leaders. And spells, in my opinion, are not as valuable as units that kind of act like spells. So I don't think you really want to play a ton of spell-heavy decks in PvE, which is what you're going to be starting with. And then later into PvP even, I think you get more value out of units. I would say no on Jana. Maiev, Shadowsong is cool and a huge no for me. It's not that this unit's not good. It's not that it can't be used really, really well. It's just overly complex, I think, for new players. It's cool that it's unbound. It's cool that you build unbound decks around it to lower its cost. Its damage, like everything about this is cool. I just don't think this is good for people who are starting the game. It's like, you know what? It feels like when you see a warning on a character in a game where it's like, this is for expert level play. That's what this feels like. And I don't think you're going to be really in love with it at all. Murloc. Old Murloc is my favorite leader in the game. It's one of the ones I started the game. I didn't start the game with it, but I got it as early as I could just because I was excited about it. I actually don't think it's too complex, and I would give it a bit of a thumbs up for new players because its passive ability, the March of the Murlocs, when you use old Murloc and then you start spending gold on either spells or units, you just generate free Murlocs from your home base. It's pretty cool. I like it a lot, and it's not too hard. He's also a ranged unit, which is pretty good. There are some situations he runs into that aren't that beneficial for him, like when, you know, the towers have that sort of cone of flame burst that is hitting them. It works way better into individual towers, but still, I think it's pretty good for new players. As far as talents go, I went with a couple. I went with Marathon of the Murlocs and Electric Eels. I like them both. I think Marathon of the Murlocs just works within its passive best, so it makes total sense to me to run Marathon of the Murlocs. I like this hero a lot. Hoger, I think pretty good for new players as well. The deal with Hoger is the more times you place this unit down, you get increased movement speed and attack speed, which is really nice. It also pairs super well with the Hamhawk talent, giving you plus 10% max health each time it's played. It feels like the most reasonable combo for this unit. Simple, effective, a strong sort of tank-ish fighter for your team. I don't think it's as good as Tyrion, but I do think it's solid for newer players. Charlga. If you take one thing from this video, don't pick this leader at all. Do not use this. You're not gonna like it. If you do like this unit, like, honestly, more power to you. It's just not great. I think talent-wise, I would go with Cavernous Mist if it's relevant at all. What this does is your minis in your deck share the same cost. So it's weird. Like, you create low-cost decks. Like, what I've found works well with this is you create low-cost decks with a couple high-cost units. So you'll have like a 6-drop in your deck and then a lot of really low ones. So at times you put a 6-drop out for a low cost. I just can't. I don't even want to talk about this unit. I don't like it. Emperor Tharisian. I don't know. I don't love it, don't hate it. The thing I kind of like about it is I just think the ability for it to apply burn damage for non-elemental damage is cool. Early on, I don't know if you're going to have as many units as you want to kind of build the perfect deck, but basically you want a lot of units that don't do elemental damage, so when this unit is on the battlefield, you're doing extra burn damage. I do think it's pretty cool. I don't have a big issue with it. Talent-wise, I have used Incinerate and I've used Hubris. I like Incinerate just because it's fun, but I think Hubris is probably better. You just are able to give your minis levels for free, which is pretty good. Generaldrath, I don't think this is bad. I also just think it's kind of boring, and I don't know. Nearby enemies take 50% more elemental damage. I just don't love this hero, this leader. I'm like, yeah, it doesn't excite me very much to run this leader, so I think that's the big thing. I think it's just it's like a little too specific for me, and I think it feels like Emperor Thurician does kind of what Dracasath does in a different way, obviously, but in a way that I like a lot more. I also don't like, it's a 5-drop. It's pretty expensive. The talent I picked for it is Piercing Blows, but I think the better one is probably Chromatic Scales. Either way, I don't love this hero, and I would not recommend it. Rend I would probably recommend because it's so cool. Rend is a 6-drop, but it's flying, and then it gets kind of knocked off its Drake, and then it's like walking as a unit. And when it's out, all of your flying units cost 1 gold less. It's really good. It's also really cool. I think a lot of players would like it a lot, so I would say it's a good one for new players. Maybe a little more complex than you'd expect. I love Karen. I don't know if players are going to be as excited about this as I am, though. So, first off, Karen is really good in combat. It is a 5-drop, but it stuns everyone you're hitting in kind of a big area, which I think is really solid. Its leader ability gives Horde troops 20% more health. I personally love the Horde, by the way, for the Horde forever. And I also like a lot of the units in the game that are Horde. So, you can see my deck right here is just like chocked full of like things that I love. The Witch Doctor, Stonehoof Tauren, the Dark Spear Troll with Big Bad Voodoo, which is like, you're just making it even better. I love this. I think it's kind of mid for new players. I think the same thing about Gromos. I actually don't like Gromos as much. I don't think it's terrible. I think it's fine for new players. All nearby friendly units get Bloodlust, which I think is pretty good. And I think a few of its talents are pretty good here. I like Mirror Image the most, although I know some people are pretty partial to Savage Strike, so you're able to get some of those bigger KOs. I think Mirror Image is just cool. And it also like has a nice like AoE sort of taunt to it, which is pretty good for a lot of your pushes. I think this one's okay. Sneed, I would not recommend. I would not recommend it for new players. I think Sneed is very cool. Sneed's leader ability is you get 2 gold when a siege unit destroys a tower, or captures a meeting stone, or opens a chest. That one I think is the biggest, is opening chests and getting huge gold swings. A really cool leader. But just like sort of like you can see it right here, you got the extra gold, and then you can see as Sneed takes down this tower right here, boom, extra gold for doing it right there. Pretty cool, right? And then also when you have lead with greed, like I have as one of his abilities, you get +2 gold when you trigger it. So like economy wise, this is a really fun unit. It leads to really snowball heavy games, but at the same time, I don't think it's like super great for newer players jumping in the game. Yes. Baron Rivendare is a huge yes. Yes, you periodically summon skeletons at buildings you control, so taking enemy towers, you summon more skeletons. Its ability Chill of the Grave is nuts. You summon skeletal mages instead of warriors. I think there's also some cool stuff going on with Death Pact and Skeletal Frenzy, but Chill of the Grave, Baron Rivendare, is constant ranged enemy pressure that slows. It's nuts. One of the best leaders in the game and one of the best for new players. It's just easy to win with it, I feel like. Blood Mage is a no, even though I've grown to love Blood Mage Thalnos. I really like this leader. You get 1 level for each spell you play, so you kind of need a spell heavy deck, which again, I don't think spell heavy decks are super good right now, or just have ever been good in my opinion, but I really like this leader. I just love powering up its level to an absurd degree. The power I've used is Drain Life, which I think is pretty good. It just keeps it alive in some situations you wouldn't expect. I do think Bane would be pretty cool for this. I have not tried it personally. I've seen some players run it. You just get a big attack speed after you use a spell, so you combo that directly. Like you'll, throw something like polymorph on the enemies, and then that will not only increase Blood Mage's level, you'll also have the increased attack speed, so you could kind of wipe that wave of enemies. I think there are some cool setups, but no matter how much I like this leader, I don't think it's the way to go. I really don't. And then we have Sylvanas, the last leader on our list right here. I think it's interesting. Sylvanas was released with the game, basically, if I'm remembering it. It was either like with the game or it was like the first thing you could unlock shortly after the game was out. And I've never really been impressed with Sylvanas. It's a 6-drop. Its ability is that its horde and undead allies move faster near it. Okay, nothing wrong with that. And then it also kind of turns into a Banshee when it gets KO'd right there. And then that Banshee will possess an enemy unit. However, a lot of times it won't, because it just doesn't set up a situation where it could actually get there and do something. It attacks pretty good at range. It's not awful, but in general, I just don't like this leader, and I really don't think it's that good for new players either. As far as talents are concerned, I've been running Black Arrow, where it deals damage to enemies in a line. It pierces damage. I think that's really, really good. I'm not sure what I would take for a second talent. I have not decided on whether it would be Banshee's Wail or Forsaken Fury. The thing about Banshee's Wail is you're guaranteeing Banshee works, right? Essentially, like a 3-second stun most likely means you're going to be able to, take over an enemy unit with Banshee. Forsaken Fury, though, like, I do kind of like the idea that this thing is just a big-time buff. So you go from not only its leader ability buffing, but from its talent buffing as well. However, in general, I would say stay away from Sylvanas. I don't think it's the way to go. So there you go. You have some leaders that I would highly recommend, some ones that I would stay away from until you're a little better at the game. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening. Big shout out to Blizzard for sponsoring this video. Cannot wait for the new family coming soon. As soon as the new family drops, I'm gonna have like 10 videos on them, so make sure you're checking out the B tier. Love you all, and I will see you soon. We did it.